Tim Alberta, American Carnage, on the front lines of the Republican Civil War and the rise of President Trump. Dive into the captivating summary of American Carnage, on the front lines of the Republican Civil War and the rise of President Trump by Tim Alberta, revealing the roots of the growing divide in American society and the Republican Party. Explore the key topics and themes such as immigration, the financial crisis, and the emergence of the Tea Party movement. This summary will provide an insightful and engaging overview of the events leading up to President Trump's election and the impact it had on the political landscape.
Immigration as the scapegoat. By 2008, the Republican Party had been governing for a full decade, but things weren't looking good with the subprime mortgage crisis and the Iraq War. Immigration, however, became the dominating issue in the primary contests. President George W. Bush had passed a comprehensive immigration reform plan in 2007 that allowed millions to obtain full citizenship. John McCain, one of the Republican presidential contenders in 2008, had helped pass this policy, but now he faced strong resentment from party members. The heart of this widespread discontent was the consequences of deindustrialization and free market policies supported by the Republican Party over the last 30 years. These policies resulted in the decline of industry and public services, leading to a feeling of instability. Candidate Mitt Romney understood this, and instead of addressing the real issues, he played to right-wing prejudices, attacking McCain on his pro-immigration record. This trend of blaming immigration would continue in the years to come. The Lehman crash fallout. The Lehman Brothers bankruptcy in 2008 sparked a global financial crisis, putting President George W. Bush in a tough position, as he sought to stabilize the markets with a plan opposed by libertarian Republicans. Bush's Troubled Asset Relief Program, TARP, successfully prevented the worst of the crash, but fueled an internal revolt within the Republican Party and ignited a populist mood across the country, a sentiment that would have profound implications in the years to come. On September 15, 2008, the world held its breath as the investment bank Lehman Brothers filed for bankruptcy and global markets tumbled. President George W. Bush acted quickly to address the financial crisis by formulating a plan to stabilize the markets. However, libertarian Republicans strongly opposed any government intervention, believing the markets should be allowed to fail and self-correct without state meddling. Bush's announcement met with outrage from conservative congressmen such as Mike Pence and Jim Jordan, who questioned the party's conservative identity. Their concern, if the government intervened, what would differentiate Republicans from Democrats? Undeterred, President Bush proceeded with his government intervention plan, prioritizing the financial security of ordinary citizens over market ideology. The result was TARP, which bailed out Wall Street banks and investment firms with $700 billion. This action managed to curb the worst of the crisis. Nevertheless, many people still lost their livelihoods, homes, and dreams. TARP proved divisive within the Republican Party, sparking a revolt against big government from all factions. When brought before Congress, Republicans voted against it 133 to 65. However, the looming threat of financial catastrophe eventually swayed them into passing the program. The bitter taste of violating the free market principles lingered, fueling resentment within the party. Beyond the party's ideological concerns, a common narrative emerged among the general public: the government had saved Wall Street but left everyone else to suffer the consequences. This sentiment evolved into a populist anti-government movement that resonated with both Republican and Democrat voters, setting the stage for significant political consequences in the years that followed. The emergence of post-Obama right. Amidst the 2008 economic crisis and ongoing Iraq War, John McCain's Republican campaign struggled, making way for Barack Obama's seemingly inevitable victory, a landslide symbolizing a shift in political mentality. Throughout the campaign, racially charged rhetoric surfaced amid right-wing circles, with some supporters even booing McCain for attempting to temper these sentiments. After Obama's triumph, healthcare reform fueled intense reactions from the political right, which erroneously accused Obama of supporting socialistic policies and creating death panels. Ultimately, this post-Obama fury profoundly altered the right, abandoning the notion of compassionate conservatism and adopting an uglier, more ideological stance. As the 2008 presidential election approached, John McCain's Republican campaign faltered amidst the economic downturn and the Iraq War's unpopularity. Barack Obama's victory appeared not only likely but symbolized a generational shift in political perspectives. Meanwhile, right-wing rhetoric reached alarming levels of vitriol and racial prejudice, with supporters openly voicing racist thoughts and concerns. Despite Obama's eventual win, the tumultuous sentiment did not diminish. As president, his proposed healthcare reform sparked outrage among the political right, further strengthening their resolve against him. Although Obama's policies were moderate and centrist in nature, the right-wing narrative spun tales of rampant socialism, government-funded healthcare for illegal immigrants, and death panels deciding patients' fates. This outrage, detached from Obama's true policies, served to radicalize the right further and left the notion of compassionate conservatism in the dust. The political landscape was irrevocably changed, as the intersection of racially driven, heated emotions and fervent ideological opposition shaped the future of the party and the nation. Reviving the American right. The American right sought rejuvenation after John McCain's defeat and George W. Bush's presidency. The election of Barack Obama stirred anxiety among conservatives, inciting the birth of the Tea Party movement in 2009 as a response to Obama's economic policies. While beginning as a focused protest, the movement quickly expanded into a platform for broader right-wing issues, driving the nation's culture war. The Tea Party movement alarmed many moderate Republicans who practiced a more restrained conservatism. As the movement gained momentum, it attracted the interest of wealthy libertarian ideologues like David and Charles Koch, who sought to funnel its energy into promoting their preferred fiscal policies. This potent mix of cultural conflict and powerful backers set the stage for Donald J. Trump's presidential campaign in 2016. Trump's nationalistic revolution. Many people initially believed that Donald Trump's entry into the Republican primary race in 2015 was a mere publicity stunt. However, Trump capitalized on the party's perceived weaknesses in campaigning and policy, adopting a more aggressive approach. Disappointed by past Republican candidates like John McCain and Mitt Romney, Trump sought to invigorate the right-wing base with a strong message of nationalism. Drawing inspiration from the Tea Party, he developed his campaign slogan, "Make America Great Again," strategically evoking a sense of nostalgia for a bygone era. Trump successfully tapped into underlying attitudes and prejudices, positioning them front and center in his provocative campaign. Donald Trump's run for president was initially met with skepticism, as many assumed his candidacy was just a ploy to boost his public image. Despite such beliefs, Trump saw an opportunity to exploit what he considered weaknesses in the Republican Party. Reflecting on previous unsuccessful campaigns like those of John McCain and Mitt Romney, Trump concluded that the party lacked the killer instinct required for victory. He criticized previous candidates for playing by the rules and being too moderate in their approach. Trump argued that instead, the party should rile up its right-wing base by adopting a more aggressive stance on issues like immigration. He also felt that the traditional Republican policies of globalization, deregulation, and military intervention abroad were misguided, favoring a nationalistic platform. Absorbing lessons from the Tea Party, Trump's campaign honed its message, culminating in the slogan, "Make America Great Again." This phrase encapsulated the resentment felt by many right-wing voters, appealing to a nostalgic vision of a lost America characterized by stable jobs, traditional values, and predominantly white demographics. At a 2016 Trump rally in Arizona, one supporter exemplified the attitudinal shift Trump harnessed. For her, Trump represented a return to the America she once knew, where immigrants were expected to assimilate and prioritize American culture. Identifying these latent attitudes, Trump brought them to the forefront of his campaign, giving voice to previously unspoken prejudices. Trump's unconventional rise. As the 2016 primary contests commenced, it was clear that Donald Trump distinguished himself from conventional Republican politicians, such as Marco Rubio, Ted Cruz, and Jeb Bush. While these candidates adhered to traditional conservative values and exhibited a fundamental understanding of governance, Trump's nationalistic populism and aggressive campaign strategies defied expectations. This divergence became glaringly evident during a debate where he fumbled to explain the U.S. nuclear triad, a topic any presidential candidate should grasp effortlessly. Furthermore, Trump's shocking praise of Putin's strong leadership and indifference towards international conflicts appealed to a significant portion of the American right, who admired Putin's defiance of liberal values. Despite breaching countless norms, Trump's unorthodox approach only propelled him further in the polls, to the Republican establishment's amazement. Elections expose America's new divide. As the initial results from the election rolled in, the unexpected started to become reality. Trump was winning in crucial areas. Many mainstream Republicans, such as Paul Ryan, had been expecting a major defeat and had even prepared speeches disavowing Trump's campaign. As the results streamed into Trump Tower, the new divide within America became apparent. Trump secured victories in Florida, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, primarily white, blue-collar states. Hillary Clinton, on the other hand, only garnered 37% of the white vote but performed better than Trump among minority demographics. The emerging racial divide wasn't the only gap, a cultural divide also appeared. David Wasserman, of the Cook Political Report newsletter, used a unique method to illustrate this split through corporate brands. He found that Republican areas were more likely to have a Cracker Barrel, a Southern-style restaurant typically found in rural, less diverse towns heavily impacted by deindustrialization. In contrast, Democratic regions were more likely to house Whole Foods grocery stores, located in urban, upscale areas with a higher concentration of college graduates. Wasserman has been observing the cultural gap in America using this method since 1992. During that year, Bill Clinton won 40% of the Cracker Barrel counties and 60% of the Whole Foods counties. In the 2016 election, however, Trump secured 76% of the Cracker Barrel counties and only 22% of the Whole Foods counties. This data revealed a stark truth: America's polarization has been increasing with each election, and Trump's rise to power has only intensified this division. Polarization peaks in Charlottesville. Trump's ascent to presidency further intensified the political polarization in the U.S. Steve Bannon, his chief strategist, weaponized this culture clash as a battle between liberal elites and the white working class. The conflict climaxed in August 2017 in Charlottesville when the city council's proposal to remove Confederate General Robert E. Lee's statue incited an uproar. The event brought white supremacists, neo-Nazis, and the KKK head-to-head against counter-protesters, resulting in a tragedy. Trump's ambiguous response demonstrated his unwillingness to condemn extremism for political purposes. This revolution gripping the Republican Party raises questions about its future direction.
Having journeyed through the tumultuous events and shifting ideologies within the Republican Party as detailed in Tim Alberta's American Carnage, we arrive at a crucial understanding of the factors that contributed to the rise of President Trump. From the impact of the financial crisis, the escalating racial and cultural polarization to the growing influence of the Tea Party movement, the political landscape has been irreversibly transformed. As we continue to witness the profound impact these changes have on American society, we are left with an important question to ponder: where will this revolutionary path of the Republican Party ultimately lead?